Good morning. Welcome to another session of MCN201 Sustainable Engineering. I am Dr. Unnikrishnan PC, Professor Electrical and Electronics Engineering Department, Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology, Cochin. In the last session, we had seen biomimicking, and in this session, we will see EIA or Environment Impact Assessment. Before we proceed further, let us see a quote by Ratan Tata. "None can destroy iron, but its own rust can. Likewise, none can destroy a person, but its own mindset can." Ratan Tata. So moving to EIA. What is EIA or Environment Impact Assessment? EIA can be defined as an activity designed to identify and predict the impact of legislative proposals, policies, programs, projects, and operational procedures on the bio-geophysical environment, on the health and well-being of human beings, and to interpret and communicate information about the impact. EIA is an important management tool for ensuring optimal use of natural resources for sustainable development. In India, EIA was first initiated with impact assessment of river valley projects. Then the scope was extended to other sectors like industries, power projects, mining, etc. EIA is now mandatory under EPA 1986 for 29 categories of development activities with investment greater than 50 crores. EIA basically involves the study to predict the effect of a proposal, project, or an activity on the environment. Or in other words, EIA focus on problems, conflicts, or natural resource constraints that could affect the validity of the project. It also examines the implication of projects that harm the people, homeland, and livelihood. After predicting the problem, an environmental impact assessment identifies measures and means to minimize the problem, outlines various ways to improve projects sustainably for its proposed implementation. Let us look at an EIA conducted in Kerala, which is the Adirapalli Hydro Power Project. The Kerala State Electricity Board proposed to build a 163 megawatt hydroelectric project at Adirapalli. It affects 138.6 hectare of forest land and livelihood of tribal families depending on the forest and river. 28.5 hectares of riparian forests fall under the submergence area. Reduce or dry up the water flow of Adirapalli waterfall, which harnesses ecology and tourism in this area. EIA fails to justify the need for the project. Fails to consider whether improving the efficiency of existing generation and transmission infrastructure is more important than constructing another dam. Fails to consider whether other kinds of energy generation projects are more economical and ecologically. Fails to consider how the proposed project would lead to a further imbalance in energy generation capacity in the state. So EIA fails to consider how the proposed project would impact populations of Asiatic elephants and other threatened and endangered species. What is the purpose of EIA? The purpose is to identify and evaluate the potential impacts of development and projects on the environment system, to facilitate decision making, to aid the information and development, to be instrument for sustainable development. What are its benefits? Reduced cost and time of project implementation, cost-saving modifications in project design, increased project acceptance, compliance with regulations and laws, improved project performance, reduction in cleanup costs. And there are a lot of benefits for local communities, a healthier local environment, improved human health, maintenance of biodiversity, sustainable utilization of resources, fewer conflicts over natural resource use, increased community skills, knowledge and pride. There are a lot of limitations of EIA. It should be taken at the policy and planning level rather than at the project level. And range of possible alternative in EIA is small. Lack of comprehensive environment information base, limitation of time and manpower. It's a very complicated process. More R&D of improved methodologies are required to overcome limitations relating to uncertainties. The reports are too academic, bureaucratic and lengthy, containing too many tables and figures. In actual practice, EIA ends immediately after project clearance. No follow-up action taken. It does not incorporate the strategy of preventing environmental intervention. In 1994, the Ministry of Environment and Forest, Government of India under EPA Act 1986 made a notification making environmental clearance mandatory for expansion, modernization of any activity or setting up new projects. EIA legislation came in September 2006. Environmental clearance required for mining, thermal plants, infrastructure, road, ports, harbors, etc. Let us see the process of EIA. The first is the screening, then scoping and consideration of alternatives. Third line is the baseline data collection. This is important because here a lot of data needs to be collected. The site-specific primary data should be monitored for the identified parameters and supplemented by secondary data. Then the impact analysis. So what are the likely environmental and social impacts of the proposed project, and evaluate the significance. And fifth, assessment of alternatives, delineations of migration measures and environmental impact assessment. So for every project we need to find possible alternatives. So these alternatives should even consider the no project option. Then sixth, the public hearing. We should listen to the public about the proposed project. Seventh, environmental management plan. Then finally eighth, the decision making, whether to accept or reject or consider after necessary changes. And ninth, monitoring the clearance conditions. These are some of the references, and there are a lot of references in internet also. If you wish to contact me, please contact at this phone number or email ID. With that, I'm Dr. Unnikrishnan PC signing off. Thank you very much.